Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It is closing time on the recruiting trail, and Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers, have a massive opportunity to close out the 2025 class in a big way. Not only a big football game going down Saturday night against Texas A&M, I'd argue even a bigger recruiting weekend for this Auburn program. And you look at Hugh Freeze and Auburn and say they got off to a really good start building this 2025 class, maintain that good start during the course of the 2024 season, even though the results on the football field were not ideal for Auburn fans, and now have the opportunity to close out in a massive way with this 2025 cycle. And I think for a lot of Auburn fans, it's going to be an extremely busy next couple of weeks for this Auburn program, not only closing out in 2025, but I think just as importantly, we talked about it earlier this week. I don't think there's going to be a program that's more aggressive in the transfer portal specifically for a quarterback than this Auburn Tigers team. And so it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks. Fired up about it now. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. A quick shout out to the Auburn fans. A lot of y'all been rocking with the boys for the last 2 years. Ever since Hugh Freeze has taken over this program, it's been a blast to kind of break down and talk with y'all about how Hugh Freeze is going about building this roster. So appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one now. I think where we're going to focus a lot of our discussion is on the targets that Auburn is gunning after this weekend. But I think another flip side of this conversation is you're also getting a lot of guys, important guys who are committed to Auburn back on campus, right? Five-star quarterback Deuce Knight. We all know that Ole Miss is starting to turn it up for Deuce Knight, getting him back on campus. That's big. I think same thing with five-star edge rusher Daren Smith. So playing a little defense in the 2025 class as well. But this Auburn team's not only playing defense, like they're being the hunters as well, going on the offensive. Let's talk about five-star defensive lineman Justice Terry. Now, we could spend a lot of time selling y'all on Justice Terry, but I'm sure many of y'all know this name by now. The thing about Justice Terry that is incredible, he's 6'5", 275. I don't think I've seen a kid coming out of the high school ranks carry 275 pounds as well as Justice Terry. You just look at one picture, and I ain't no doctor. Like the body fat percentage for this kid has to be extremely low. And for a 275-pound body to be that put together and it kind of manufacture itself on the football field. I mean, not only is this kid just strong as an ox, and you see the play strength on the football field, the ability to kind of do some of the dirty work and kind of eat up double teams, plug up the inside of the defensive line. He's also a phenomenal athlete that gives you some penetrating ability, that gives you a ton of juice in the pass rush. We always say this, it's hard to find defensive linemen that give you the best of both worlds. You can have a guy like Isaiah Rakes who is going to be that one tech that's eating up double teams, but you're not going to get a ton of pass rush juice from a guy like Isaiah Rakes. It's hard to find guys that can give you that one tech type stuff, but also be an elite pass rusher. Justice Terry is that guy. And I think for Auburn fans, what continues to excite me the most about Hugh Freeze is what he's doing on the defensive line. And I'm probably going to forget some guys, but off the top of my head, guys like Daren Smith, Nate Marshall, Jordan Crawford, Malik Autry, the defensive line class for Auburn in 2025, it's going to be special, and it's going to pay dividends immediately for this Auburn program. And I think Hugh Freeze kind of learned, wouldn't say the hard way, but kind of learned it's hard to build a really good defensive line in the transfer portal for two different reasons. One, those guys hitting the transfer portal on the defensive line, they're extremely expensive. More importantly, everybody wants defensive linemen in the transfer portal. If you have the opportunity to build that pipeline on the defensive line with your high school recruiting classes, it's going to make it a lot easier to address some other problems with this roster in the transfer portal. That's exactly what Hugh Freeze and Auburn are doing. Now, Justice Terry, I think Georgia continues to be, the leader in this race, but Georgia's kind of filled it up on the defensive line. So I wonder if that gives an opportunity. Is it clearly telling us Justice Terry's interested in this Auburn program if he's taking a visit this late in the process? I'm really excited to see if Auburn can gain any momentum with Justice Terry coming out of the weekend. Now, another really, really big name that's going to be on campus, and a guy that we've talked about plenty in relationship to Auburn, four-star running back Usman CA. This kid's awesome. And you look at Auburn, I think they want to take a couple backs in this 2025 class. I don't think they took a single running back in 2024. This kid is one of my favorite running backs in the 2025 cycle. Obviously committed to Georgia, but even when he committed to Georgia, Auburn was always that team that was really pushing. It seemed like it was Georgia, Florida State, and Auburn. Now, Florida State, not really sure anybody's going to Florida State over the next couple of weeks. So I think Auburn is kind of that program that is really pushing for him. And what I love most about Usman, you take a look at the film and say, when he runs so angry. You know, like Isaiah Pacheco, the Rutgers running back, now playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's on my fantasy team. He just runs angry. He runs like somebody stole his lunch money. This kid runs like that as well. Now, what stands out to me, which kind of makes him one of those special running backs in 2025, he's 6'2", 205. You don't really expect the short area quickness to be great with a running back with that frame. That's completely false with this kid. I mean, his short area quickness is next level. When he gets to the second level, like he can make linebackers and safeties miss in a phone booth. So you're getting a really elusive running back that has a big frame that can run behind his pads. Now, the straight line speed maybe has a little bit of a question mark, but outside of that, like this kid checks so many boxes at the running back position. He's going to be a bell cow. You look at him and Elvin Henderson, that's a very, very good running back room that Auburn is building to go along with some talented running backs that are already on this Auburn roster. I mean, a guy like Cobb is one of my favorite running backs that you see in the country. I think he's going to have a massive year in 2025. Now, the last 2025er that I want to pay attention to here is Daren Smith. A couple of things that I think are working for Auburn in their favor. They got a couple of kids from St. Francis Academy already committed to Auburn. That's a program that, man, they just continue to pump out a ton of elite college and NFL guys. If you're looking for a high school to build a little bit of a pipeline to and start grabbing some kids out of, St. Francis Academy is one of those guys. Now, Tennessee's currently got the commitment, but you look at Daren Smith and say, kind of a unique build, right? 6'2", 265. I think he's going to be a little bit more of a 3-tech when he gets to college, so he's got to put on a little bit of weight. The 6'2" height is a little bit misleading because this kid is long. Like he's got some really long. I don't have the exact measurement with the arms, but he's got some really, really long arms, and he knows how to use that length on the football field. A really good athlete for that size. Now you want him to maintain that athleticism as he puts on that weight. We always say I'd rather, when I'm talking line of scrimmage players, I'd rather have guys that are undersized and you have to put the weight on them, as opposed to having a guy that's too big. You got to shed some weight, because what you can do with the guys that are undersized, you can put on the weight the right way and maintain a lot of the athleticism. When these kids get to campus, they put on 20 to 25 pounds quite easily. And if you're doing that the right way, you're probably maintaining a decent amount of your athleticism. I think that's kind of the case with Daren Smith. The film, I think, is really impressive. Kind of a versatile guy. Will play a little bit on the edge. Will play the 3-tech, even some at the one or nose. He probably plays on the inside just because that's the kind of build he has. But I'd be interested to see how they use him on the defensive line. Probably not a year one guy like Justice Terry might be, but another guy that, hey, just stash away and see what he looks like in 2026 or 2027. Now, quick hitters in the 2026 class. And you take a look at this Auburn class in 2025, very, very good class, top 5 class in the country. This 2026 class has the makings of something special. Start with Anthony Jones. Hugh Freeze has dominated the state of Alabama on the recruiting trail, which is a massive takeaway if you're an Auburn fan. Anthony Jones is a freaky, freaky dude. I mean, he's 6'3.5", 2'4". He is put together for a kid that is just finishing up his junior year of high school football, but the athleticism and length, he's got attributes on the line of scrimmage that you can't really teach. And if you're Anthony Jones, you're looking at all the success. A guy like Keldrick Falk, I mean, Auburn's not getting a ton of national media buzz because they just haven't been winning football games, quite frankly. The defensive line, the Auburn defense as a whole, but specifically that defensive line, guys like Keldrick Falk are playing really, really good football. And if you're someone like Anthony Jones, you're looking at where to go. Man, you kind of trust the development that you're seeing from this Auburn defensive line. Very similar story with Bryce Perry, right? Who I think, kind of fits what Auburn wants to do on the defensive line. That 3-tech, but has the athleticism to play a little bit as a heavy-handed edge too. Another versatile defensive lineman that you can move all along the defensive line. Again, what it stands out to me about Bryce Perry White from Buford, Georgia, he's a big boy. He's been a big boy. Even back when a lot of kids come out of Buford, so you watch a lot of Buford football. Bryce Perry White's been that guy for a while, and he's got really good play strength, but also really good athleticism and they'll move him around the defensive line. So he's another one of those chess pieces on the defensive line. And again, it's no secret what Auburn is trying to do on the recruiting trail. They're trying to recruit the line of scrimmage, specifically that defensive line. I think Hugh Freeze is very experienced in the SEC. Like, he looks at a program like Georgia. Hey, why has Georgia had so much success over the last 5 years? They got guys that just look different on the defensive line. You get those guys on the recruiting trail. I think Hugh Freeze has recognized that, and you're seeing him put a ton of emphasis and a ton of resources and attention at building that position group on the recruiting trail. That's going to pay off for Auburn at some point down the road. So 2025 class, we're looking to finish strong. Again, we're going to get into a lot more conversation about Auburn in the transfer portal as well. Going to be a busy next couple of weeks. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.